Thank you so much, Mr. Nicolas, for joining us at this interview, and thank you so much for coming to the Connecting Green Hydrogen MENA. For those who may not be familiar with you, may you kindly introduce yourself, your role, your company, and how that's related to hydrogen.
My pleasure. Thanks for the interview and the opportunity. So I'm Nicolas. I'm a French engineer by background, but I lived maybe and worked 17 years outside of France, in Southeast Asia, in China, in Africa. I'm today based in Dubai, and I'm in charge for Air Liquide of Africa, the Middle East, and India. Air Liquide, as you know, is one of the world leaders in industrial gases and medical gases. So involved not only in oxygen, nitrogen, argon, but obviously about hydrogen.
Yes, I would say Air Liquide is one of the largest and most influential hydrogen producer and solution provider in the whole world. Can you specify a bit more what is your current strategic focus?
Well, as you rightly said, as a group, and we have a long history, more than 120 years, we always believe two things, that we are based on technology, innovation, and we turn it into business by putting value to customers. So we are very driven by customer value creation. So whether we supply molecules for steel industry, petrochemicals, semiconductors, or food or hospitals, we always focus on what's the application of the molecules we bring to the customers. It could be technology, it could be molecules like carrier gases for electronics, but we are always focusing on that. So our strategy today as a global group, because we operate in so many countries across the world, and because most of our gases are locally produced and locally supplied, is always to continue to invest in the right places, the right region, where we see growth opportunity, where we see the right appetite from customers to grow into this energy transition world. So it means to continue to grow manufacturing, but a lower carbon manufacturing. So we are part of that. We are a player with our strategy to decarbonize our own assets, production, supply chain, but of course, to also bring technology to decarbonize our customer base, because we can link in an industrial basin, the steel maker, the glass maker, the automotive maker, the petrochemical. So we can be among these basins of the world when you have different industries. We are the center. We know the different needs, and we think we can bring value by leveraging what we know from each of them. Some of them may need oxygen, some of them may need nitrogen, some are hydrogen. All of them want to decarbonize, and all of them want to be competitive. So we are manufacturing plants ourselves, whether in China, in Europe, in the US. Here in the UAE, we have a workshop, an engineering workshop, to manufacture our own plants. So we believe in our strategy that to have our own technologies, research, engineering is a key ingredient to develop our strategy to grow with the new technologies of the world.
Yes. And you joined one of our most important sessions, the C-suite session in the morning. And the session title is Unlocking Global Hydrogen Potential. What is your main reflection from the panel, and anything you want to share with us?
Well, it was exciting because it was, I think, the right mix of people around the room, around the stage. In this part of the world, especially when you look at the UAE, and UAE was very visible during COP28, right? And they are really doing things across the decarbonization and the energy mix. Saudi Arabia, they have a Vision 2030 in which solar, green hydrogen, other type of energy mix are also a big component. And you have Oman next door, which is also striving to get a place on the energy transition path, and in general, the GCC. So the people on stage represented that, right? You had industrial companies like ours. You have funds, because in this part of the world, this is very important to have those companies like Mazda or Aqua, which are involved between the public and the private world, and they are bringing those big projects to scale. And some of us, we know our place. If I take Air Liquide, we are a key leader in hydrogen. We've been in hydrogen for 50, 60, 70 years for the space industry, the semiconductors. Today, hydrogen as an energy carrier, of course, with our expertise and our technology, we are part of that ecosystem. We are one of the pioneers of the Hydrogen Council, for example, the mobility market, the transformation of new fuels for aviation or ships. but we are not an energy player per se. So what's great in a conference like today is that we all understand that we have to be humble, and this page is starting, but it's still to be defined. So partnership, having government and private companies, technologies, you need private equities and funds, you need startups and innovation. I think that's very good to see that in a room.
Yes, I can recall that if we compare hydrogen like a cake, it's a cake for everyone.
Oh, yes.
Partnership is really important, especially when industry is in its niche stage. And you recently come from China to head the MENA market. So what is your strategy for MENA region?
Well, in MENA, contrary to China, you are still at the beginning of the industry diversification. China today, compared to 20 years ago, is already very mature. You have all types of industries. From chemical, you can go downstream, then you can go to construction, automotive, semiconductors. It's very mature, actually, as an economy. The Middle East, obviously, is coming from a world based on oil and gas. But all the governments here have already started to move beyond that, to say not only for energy transition and climate change, but also for economical reasons, for their own population, jobs. They are all developing new type of economies. Dubai is an example where they diversify to services. Abu Dhabi has got some other industries, for example. In Saudi Arabia, it's clear. All the type of industries will come. So for us, what's interesting, or for me, is when you live in different countries, you see the different type of elements. But when you look at the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia or the UAE, they are already very advanced on some domains. So they already have means, they already have the funding, they already have infrastructure here, stability, which you look like when you are investing for long term. But at the same time, they still have a lot to do. So that's why you see a lot of Chinese, a lot of Japanese, a lot of Koreans here, because Middle East is connected to Asia. European companies have technologies, and we have tested it in Asia as well. So I think it's a good combination in MENA for all of us to bring real investment projects, to bring a new type of industry for the future. You look at Singapore, what they did 20 years ago, it's something that's happening here. You're moving from petrochemical to, they moved to electronics in Singapore, then to pharmaceutical, bio. So here, whether it's Oman, Saudi, Qatar, UAE, you may see different paths. You may see suddenly some of them become champion on some new type of industries.
And one last question to wrap up today's interview. If you can give one piece of advice or one piece of sentence to your industry followers, your industry counterparts, so what the piece of sentence or advice would be?
Well, it's always difficult to give advice. I think one advice I can give, because I live in so many countries, is whatever is your success, whatever is your business model, be humble, be ready to learn. So meeting new people, getting new ideas. We all speak about diversity, right? In human resources, in our teams, genders, or background diversity, which is super important. But for us companies, it's the same. Maybe the big companies have to listen to the small one, and vice versa. Private sector must understand the constraint of the public sector and governments, and vice versa. So to be open and to be ready for new things.